Few people realize this, but having a rosary in your home can completely change your life, for better or for worse. Yes, you read that right. Simply owning one isn't enough. If it's not used properly, it can become just an inert object, with no effect at all. But when used correctly, it transforms into a true spiritual shield, capable of protecting your family, your home, and even guiding your decisions. Padre Pio understood this better than anyone and issued a clear warning: those who underestimate the power of the rosary take a great risk. Have you ever wondered why some homes seem constantly plagued by conflict, illness, and hardship, while others radiate peace and protection? The answer may lie in how spirituality is lived within the home. The rosary is not a charm or a decorative symbol. It is a powerful weapon against evil, a channel of blessings, and a shield against negative spiritual influences. But are you using this weapon correctly? Or worse, are you unknowingly letting your spiritual protection weaken? What Padre Pio taught about the rosary is one of the most valuable secrets for anyone seeking a life of peace, security, and connection with God. And today, you'll discover everything he revealed about this sacred object, from his mystical experiences to the promises he assured for those who use it with faith. Brace yourself, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you view your spiritual life. There's a sacred object many possess, but few understand its true power. It's not a mere decoration or accessory, but a key to spiritual protection capable of warding off evil forces. However, leaving it tucked away in a drawer or hanging unused on a wall is like owning a sword and never drawing it. The problem: those who don't use it open a dangerous gap for negative influences that can erode the peace of the home. Padre Pio knew that this object, when used with faith and devotion, became an invisible fortress against spiritual attacks. How many homes have been protected without their inhabitants even realizing it? Yet, there are also homes where this shield is present but rusted by neglect. To have such a powerful tool and not use it properly is like carrying a closed umbrella in the middle of a storm. Many wonder why they face recurring problems of spiritual oppression, discouragement, and even fights within the home. The answer may lie precisely in the lack of use of this sacred object. But what is the correct way to use it? How can it be transformed into a real shield against evil? Padre Pio left us clear guidance on this, and in the next section, we'll understand why the Holy Rosary cannot be treated merely as a symbol, but as a powerful weapon against all evil. The Holy Rosary is not just an object of devotion, but a spiritual weapon loaded with power. Padre Pio called it his weapon, knowing that every Hail Mary prayed was like a precise strike against the forces of evil. Yet, many still see it only as a decorative symbol or a religious custom of little importance. The mistake lies in underestimating it, for its true value isn't in owning it, but in using it with faith and consistency. Padre Pio didn't just pray the rosary, he carried it with him like a soldier who never abandons his sword. He knew that this prayer not only protected his soul but also transformed the environment around him. Can you imagine the impact if every home prayed the rosary daily? Picture families more united, fewer arguments, an atmosphere of peace where God's presence is felt. That's why he insisted so much: pray the rosary every day, without exception. There are accounts of people who faced difficulties, anguish, and even recurring spiritual attacks, but when they adopted the practice of the rosary, everything began to change. But what's the secret behind such a powerful effect? How can this simple prayer act as a fortress against invisible forces? The answer lies in Padre Pio's mystical experiences, where he personally witnessed the rosary's transformative power in moments of spiritual battle. Padre Pio didn't speak of the rosary's power merely out of tradition, but from personal experience. During spiritual attacks, he saw the rosary transform into arrows of light, repelling the evil forces trying to disturb him. To him, it wasn't just a simple prayer, but a true shield of defense. How many times, amid physical pain and spiritual persecution, did he find refuge in the beads of the rosary? What many saw as an object, he saw as a luminous weapon, sharp against the darkness. During his life, he noticed a pattern: Homes where the Rosary was prayed with devotion had a kind of spiritual barrier. People suffering from disturbances, insomnia, or oppression reported an almost immediate change in the atmosphere when they adopted this practice. It was as if the air became lighter, thoughts grew calmer, and arguments lost their strength. This would explain why so many families who pray the Rosary together remain steadfast, even amid crises and difficulties. Once, when asked how the Rosary worked, Padre Pio compared its action to a lightning rod. Just as a lightning rod diverts the energy of a storm, the Rosary deflects the enemy's assaults. It doesn't eliminate life's difficulties, but it prevents evil forces from having free access to the heart and home. But how can you tell if the Rosary is already acting as this protective shield? There are 3 clear signs that indicate its presence and effectiveness, and that's exactly what we'll discuss next. When the Rosary is prayed with faith, 3 signs begin to manifest in the lives of those who use it. The first sign is a supernatural peace, that inexplicable sense of calm, even in the face of problems and tribulations. Many who adopt this practice notice that, even though circumstances remain challenging, something within them shifts. Fear loses its grip, anxiety diminishes, and trust in God grows stronger. It's as if an invisible hand holds the soul steady amidst the storm. The second sign is the transformation of the spiritual environment. Homes where the Rosary is prayed begin to show subtle but profound changes. Conflicts lessen, the atmosphere becomes lighter, and in some cases, even visitors who used to bring disturbance start feeling uncomfortable. This is no coincidence. Constant prayer purifies the space, creating a refuge against negative spiritual influences. What once felt heavy and burdensome now becomes a place of peace and harmony. Finally, the third sign is the shield of light that forms around those who pray the Rosary. It's not something visible to human eyes, but a real spiritual effect. People who previously suffered frequent spiritual attacks or poor decisions begin to notice they feel more protected and guided. Temptations lose their power, the mind becomes clearer, and paths seem more illuminated. But there's a crucial detail. This protection is only guaranteed when the Rosary is used correctly. Padre Pio gave clear warnings about this, and in the next section, we'll explore the dangers of misusing this powerful spiritual weapon. Many believe that simply having a Rosary at home is enough for protection, but this is a dangerous illusion. Padre Pio warned that the Rosary's spiritual protection only activates when it's used properly. Hanging it on a car mirror or placing it on a shelf as decoration, without ever praying it, is like owning a sword but never wielding it in battle. The protection remains blocked, and the person stays vulnerable to spiritual attacks without understanding why. Another common mistake is false security. Some think that merely carrying a Rosary is enough to ward off evil, with no need for prayer. Padre Pio taught that this attitude turns the Rosary into a charm, not a tool of faith. True protection comes from praying with devotion, meditating on the mysteries, and trusting in the power of prayer. Those who carry it without praying are deceiving themselves, because the Rosary's strength lies in practice, not possession. Moreover, each day without praying it is a missed opportunity to receive graces. How many blessings are not poured out because someone forgot or didn't prioritize daily prayer? The Rosary is an invitation to transformation, but it requires commitment. However, those who pray it correctly begin to experience something extraordinary, a level of protection that manifests in a comprehensive way. In the next section, we'll explore the 3 levels of protection the Rosary offers, impacting not just the physical environment, but also the mind, heart, and even the family. The Rosary's protection manifests in 3 distinct levels, each acting uniquely in the lives of those who pray it with devotion. The first level is the protection of the physical environment. Homes where the Rosary is prayed regularly become havens of peace. The spiritual climate changes, arguments decrease, and even visitors with ill intentions start avoiding the house without quite knowing why. It's as if an invisible barrier is erected, keeping negative energies and unwanted spiritual influences at bay. The second level is mental and emotional protection. The mind becomes clearer, thoughts become ordered, and the heart finds rest. Many testify that, upon adopting the practice of the Rosary, anxiety, fear, and discouragement begin to lose their hold. This happens because the repetitive prayer creates a rhythm that calms the soul, allowing God's peace to fill spaces once occupied by worry. What once seemed unbearable is now faced with serenity. Finally, there is family protection. The Rosary has the power to unite hearts, restore relationships, and prevent spiritual divisions within the home. Families who pray together create stronger bonds, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and attract graces that strengthen their unity. Padre Pio knew this was one of the Rosary's greatest strengths, because a spiritually protected home not only withstands difficulties but also becomes a place of refuge and growth. But for this protection to fully manifest, it's essential to follow some key instructions Padre Pio left to maximize its power, and that's exactly what we'll discuss next. For the Rosary to operate at its full spiritual potential, Padre Pio gave specific guidance. The first is its placement in the home. It should be visible, in a place where everyone can see it and be reminded of its importance. It shouldn't be treated as a decoration, but as a daily reminder of faith. A good place for it is near the home's prayer space or in the bedroom, where it can be easily reached before sleep and upon waking. The second instruction is spiritual activation. Having a rosary is good, but a rosary blessed by a priest carries even greater power. The priestly blessing strengthens its purpose and intensifies its spiritual protection. Additionally, praying it with faith is essential. It doesn't matter if someone prays a full rosary or just one mystery a day. What matters is the devotion and attention during prayer. The focus should be on meditating on the mysteries and sincerely surrendering to God. Another important detail is family use. Padre Pio encouraged all members of the household to touch the rosary at least once a week. This creates a spiritual bond within the family and strengthens collective protection. But there's a warning: it shouldn't be treated as a charm, but as a channel of grace. Many people don't realize that the rosary carries powerful spiritual promises that can completely transform the lives of those who pray it with perseverance. In the next section, we'll explore the promises Padre Pio made to those who took on this commitment of faith. Padre Pio didn't just encourage the prayer of the Rosary. He also assured that those who prayed it correctly would experience extraordinary changes in their lives. The first promise is immediate protection. From the very first day of proper use of the Rosary, a spiritual defense is established. Many testify that, upon starting this practice, nightmares cease, feelings of oppression disappear, and a new peace begins to fill the home. It's not magic, but the effect of divine grace working through constant prayer. The second promise is progressive family peace. Over time, tensions and disagreements within the household begin to diminish. It's remarkable how something so simple can transform an environment of conflict into a haven of serenity. The Rosary doesn't just protect, it harmonizes. Additionally, there's integral prosperity. A channel of blessings opens in all areas of life, from emotional matters to financial ones. When spirituality is strengthened, decisions become wiser, and the right doors begin to open. But the most impactful promise is extended protection. Those who pray the Rosary don't just receive spiritual defense for themselves, they also extend that protection to family members, wherever they may be. It's as if an invisible shield accompanies them, warding off dangers and negative influences. Over time, the inner transformation becomes evident. Faith grows stronger, temptations lose their power, and life gains new meaning. However, to reap these promises, perseverance is required, and that's exactly what we'll discuss next. Many people start praying the Rosary with enthusiasm but give up when they don't see immediate results. Padre Pio always emphasized unwavering trust. God's grace often works in silent ways, and it's necessary to keep praying even when no visible changes are noticed. Those who persevere sooner or later realize that something has changed, if not around them, within them. The heart becomes stronger, the mind more balanced, and faith more steadfast. The secret lies in not giving up. Another crucial point is conscious attention. The Rosary cannot be an automatic repetition of empty words, but must be a moment of connection with God. Padre Pio said that praying with the heart makes all the difference. During the prayer, one should imagine the mysteries, reflect on Christ's life, and allow each Hail Mary to deepen their faith. This transforms the prayer experience and amplifies its effects. The more sincere the surrender, the more powerful the divine response. Finally, there's the family commitment. The Rosary should be a collective responsibility, not just one person's task in the home. When a family comes together to pray it, the protection strengthens and grace multiplies. But this decision needs to be made actively. Someone must take the first step and encourage this practice. What if that person is you? If you've made it this far, there's a clear call to action, and in the next section, we'll see how to put all of this into practice immediately. The time to act has come. It's not enough to simply know about the power of the Rosary. You must use it. If you don't already have one, get one today. If you have one but aren't using it correctly, start now. Set aside a moment in your day to pray it with devotion and see the difference it will make in your home and spiritual life. The Rosary isn't a burden, it's a path to grace, protection, and transformation. But don't stop here. Share this message with others. How many friends or family members do you know who are going through difficulties, anguish, or spiritual crises? What would happen if they discovered this secret of faith? The Rosary has the power to restore lives, heal wounds, and illuminate paths. Spread this truth, because many people simply don't know what they're missing. And now, a challenge. Write in the comments an act of faith. Declare your decision to put into practice everything you've learned here. Leave your commitment recorded and activate this blessing in your life. And if you want to continue learning about the mysteries of faith and the teachings of Padre Pio, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's so much more to discover, and you can't afford to miss out. Often, people face inexplicable difficulties, a constant feeling of heaviness in the environment, negative thoughts that seem to come out of nowhere, illnesses with no clear diagnosis. What few realize is that some of these situations may be linked to hidden spiritual influences. Padre Pio knew this and affirmed that the Rosary was one of the most effective defenses against these invisible forces. It not only repels direct attacks but also breaks negative spiritual ties that many people don't even know they have. Imagine a ship crossing the ocean. If it doesn't have a reinforced hull, it can be damaged by currents and marine organisms that accumulate over time. Similarly, the soul can be affected by negative spiritual influences, especially when exposed to charged environments, destructive conversations, or habits that weaken faith. The Rosary acts as a shield that protects against these subtle effects, shielding the mind and heart from dark thoughts and destructive energies. But there's an important detail. The more you pray the Rosary, the stronger this spiritual barrier becomes. Padre Pio taught that, by praying it daily, a person begins to feel concrete changes, such as clarity of thought, greater resistance to temptation, and even improved emotional health. Those who persevere in this practice soon notice that frequent bad situations begin to dissipate. But there's something even deeper about the Rosary that many overlook. It doesn't just protect, it also restores. And that's exactly what we'll discuss next. Throughout history, countless testimonies reveal that the prayer of the Rosary doesn't just protect, it also heals. Padre Pio witnessed cases of people who, after adopting this devotion, experienced a profound inner transformation that even reflected in their physical health. This happens because continuous prayer aligns the heart with God, allowing grace to work in areas that were once blocked by pain, fear, or resentment. When the soul finds peace, the body responds as well. How often are stress, anxiety, and insomnia direct consequences of a life disconnected from spirituality? The Rosary calms the mind, stabilizes emotions, and strengthens faith, allowing the body to recover as well. There are accounts of people who, after years of unexplained pain, found relief by making the Rosary a daily habit. This doesn't mean the Rosary replaces medical treatment, but it can be a powerful complement for those seeking complete healing of both body and soul. Moreover, the Rosary is a prayer that repairs. Many don't realize it, but throughout life, we accumulate spiritual wounds, words spoken at the wrong time, sins that distanced us from God, traumas we couldn't overcome. The Rosary acts as a balm that restores these fragile areas, bringing reconciliation and liberation. Padre Pio knew this was one of the great hidden graces of the Rosary, and those who persevere in it experience such a profound change that they become living testimonies of God's power. Now, the question is, are you ready for this transformation? Now that you know what truly happens to those who have a Rosary in their home, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you set it aside, as many do, ignoring one of the greatest secrets of faith, or will you take action and transform your spiritual life once and for all? If Padre Pio were here today, he would say just one thing: pick up your Rosary and pray. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because every day without this protection is a wasted opportunity to receive graces and strengthen your life against evil. Take a moment to reflect. What would your life be like if peace reigned in your home? If decisions became clearer, problems lost their power, and God's presence felt more real in your daily life? This isn't a theory, it's a reality experienced by those who live this practice. The Rosary doesn't just protect, it transforms. And this transformation begins with a simple act: deciding to use it correctly. Are you ready for this commitment? If this message has touched your heart, declare your faith in the comments. Write, "I choose the Rosary as my spiritual protection," and activate this blessing in your life. And to continue learning more about Padre Pio's teachings and strengthen your spirituality, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The journey of faith is a continuous path, and you don't have to walk it alone.